Today, the government of Papua New Guinea, through the Treasurer, presented a budget of 30.93 billion, of which 29.307 billion will be financed through revenue, leaving a shortfall of 1.607 billion as deficit budget. So watch this video carefully.
But for those opposite, you should never forget that this 150 kina per person deficit is better, much better than the 520 kina per person deficit we inherited from the other guy. A budget deficit per person 250% higher under the other guy than in the 2026 budget. And this high deficit figure passed on to us in 2019 as confirmed by the due diligence work confirmed by our international partners, including the IMF, to unearth his fake budgets. This high deficit was imposed on our people despite the expected boom of the PNG LNG project coming on stream in 2014. The other guy wasted and misused the expected benefits of this largest resource project in our history. The record is clear. In the 2015 mid-year budget update, the MAIFO, the other guy, and in case anyone's forgotten, the member for Ialiabu, Pangia, was so economically irresponsible that it was estimated the budget deficit would increase from 4.4% to 9.4% of GDP, or 4,817 million kina, a 2,272 million kina blowout in 2015 due to poor and incompetent economic management. And some of you on the other side want him back.
One thing I noted from the treasurer too often is that he loves blaming Peter O'Neill. Peter O'Neill was a prominent businessman and a performing prime minister, unlike the incompetent treasurer. The treasurer needs to be held accountable, and he needs to man up and do something good for this country.
You gotta be joking. In contrast, the 2025 MAIFO indicates no change in the budget deficit. The 2026 budget shows the budget deficit will nearly halve to just 1.1% of GDP, on track for a targeted surplus in 2027. In contrast to the earlier years, through fiscal discipline and, more importantly, political stability, the budget deficit has fallen dramatically from 8.9% of GDP in 2020 down to just 1.1% in 2026. Our debt is now growing much slower than our economy. This means that our debt to GDP ratio will drop significantly from 48.4% in 2025 to 45.5% in 2026 and expected to fall to 42% in 2027. All of this budget repair and falling debt ratios is occurring while PNG is benefiting from record rates of non-resource economic growth and inflation well below historic levels. Mr. Speaker, there is no need for a so-called blame game, although he has much to be ashamed about through his appalling economic mismanagement and gammon. Throwing away the benefits of Grand Chief Somari's management for the first 2 years, then 5 years of disastrous economic management that destroyed living standards, lost tens of thousands of jobs, and increased our debt fourfold, funded by expensive overseas commercial borrowings. The Marape Rosso government is very willing to do a comparison in performance between the untrustworthy economic experiences from 2013 to 2018 compared to the post-COVID economic experience from 2021 to 2026.
One thing I noted from the treasurer too often is that he loves blaming Peter O'Neill. Peter O'Neill was a prominent businessman and a performing prime minister, unlike the incompetent treasurer. The treasurer needs to be held accountable, and he needs to man up and do something good for this country. How would you blame the same Peter O'Neill over and over?